Hey, what's up, everybody? It's Ryan George Fair. So I got my antidepressant here that my dad gave me last night. So I just took my antidepressant. But I'm in a good mood. See, for several years I was sad. I want to say probably for like 4 years I was on this unprofessional schizophrenia treatment team called the Shepherd Pratt Act Team. That was very unprofessional that my dad hired, and they would abuse me verbally and emotionally. And my dad would just come home from work and abuse me physically and emotionally. And then some days I feel like I'm happy with my life. I have a lot of friends. Like at my first alternative school, which was called the Furbush School, um, on a campus of Shepherd Pratt in Maryland on the grounds of a mental hospital, which was called the Furbush School of Shepherd Pratt Grounds, which was an alternative school. And then another one when they relocated to a campus in Reisterstown. I was one of the most popular boys because my best friend was a boy named Victor that was sent there because he was a pyromaniac. And see, when I was in my alternative school, I didn't work because I had generalized anxiety disorder and ADHD and things like that. But they didn't diagnose me as a paranoid schizophrenic until I turned about 20 or 21. Um, and then when I got diagnosed as a paranoid schizophrenic, I started hearing voices when I was 22 and I'm 30. And I want to say about 3 or 4 years ago is when my black friend Ryan Cherry died from the coronavirus pandemic. And see, when I got my ShopRite job, one of the first I noticed three people, coincidence people that worked with me at my ShopRite job, because my second girlfriend was named Brooke Jerks, that has a YouTube channel, and Brooke Jerks was a girl that was into opera, that was at my alternative school, had schizophrenia, and Brooke Jerks doesn't even know that she's a people coincidence person. And then there was a boy that's name was Sean Rent that was a cashier with me, and I was a bagger. And then I would go over to Sean Rent's house and buy weed. Um, and Sean Rent hung out with a boy named Brandon Telms. Um, and I hung out with a boy named Alex, who came in and stole my Xbox from me about 2 or 3 years ago. And see, I did martial arts a few years ago, and I almost made it to a yellow belt, but I was a white belt, but I almost made it to a yellow belt. I was like this close to it. And see, I forgot a lot of stuff that I learned. But I would just go and do sit-ups and push-ups and do basic sparring and things like that and fights. And I fought this boy that was a purple belt named Caleb that raped my friend's baby mother, named Jasmine with a sister named Brandy. That is the real life Jasmine and Brandy. People coincidence girl. So I fought him because he raped my friend's baby mother. And I'm like, well, if you want to rape my friend's baby mother, and I'll fight you, and things like that. So I fought him. What happened is, to be completely honest, even though I did martial arts, I would fight boys in the neighborhood when I was young. Like this Rob Meyer boy, I fought this boy named Sean when I was young, but I didn't win. And my friend James was going to teach me how to fight and things like that. But I've never won a fight before. But I fought the boy named Caleb, and I didn't even care if I lost. I was just like, if I get him bloody, that's what he gets for raping my friend's baby mother. And then after that, I jumped in a pool, and I got the blood off of me. And see, I have schizophrenia and Tourette syndrome, and bipolar disorder. And really, on my Ryan Fair Facebook, there are like 9 or 10 friends that are real. That scare me, that I see on there even today. And there's about 17 of them that don't like me anymore. And some days I feel like some of my friends talk shit about me or things like that. And I don't feel as if I'm famous or anything like that. Some days I felt like I was like infamous because some people assumed I was not even real some days. And really, when I was like 16 or 17, my dad George didn't buy me a car, and I sat in this house on Jessica's Lane for like 5 or 6 years, and a lot of my alternative school friends unfriended me, which made me sad. And then my black friend died from the coronavirus, and I just hated everything because Alex, my second threesome, would always make threats to put pictures or information about me on Ryan George Favorite Ball for Pert. And see, I didn't know if Alex had porno movies of me having sex with females. And I didn't know if he was going to like put them in zip files or things like that and put them on Ryan George Favorite Ball for Pert. Not that I really care because I'm 7.5, almost 8 down there. And there's no shame in my game. I even have a videotape of me having sex with my ex Alexis. And I'll send it to people for free if they want to see me having sex with a girl from behind. It's a phone camera video that I took of me having sex with my ex-girlfriend Alexis that I was with a year ago. There was a hot blonde girl that's with her new boyfriend now. But we're still friends. Actually, no, she's not with a boyfriend. And see, she keeps the videos. She has that video too. And I'm sure she sends it to her friends or whatever. And some days I'm just happy that I'm not a virgin. Because some days people think that Ryan George Fair at 902B Jessica's Lane is just this boy that is a virgin that's never had sex or things like that, or things like that, you know. And I've never won a fight, but it's not like I didn't try to win fights, you know what I mean? I fought this boy that raped my friend's baby mother, and really, I was sad when my black friend died from the coronavirus. I was sad when my dad George didn't buy me a car. And really, I can go in my Ryan Fair inbox and show messages where my dad was feeding into my psychosis about a year and a half and 2 years ago. And I had a psychotic break. Because really, as Ryan George Fair, I feel like there was more cons than pros of my situation. I felt like I had more enemies than friends. And I was just like, maybe if I play my cards right, maybe people can understand my situation in some kind of way and like me. Because I feel like I'm a pretty cool guy, I'm harmless. I'm sad that my black friend died from the coronavirus. I was numb when he died and I cried. And I like to make YouTubers and see, I'm Wiccan is my religious belief. And I have this Wicca for Beginners book that I read. And I have no enemies, and I like to make friends with everybody as much as I can. And I have no hate in my heart for people. But when my black friend died from the coronavirus, and Alex, who stole my Xbox, who was my second threesome, would always make threats to put things about me on Ryan George Fair ripoff report, I just hated everything. And I feel if you were in my shoes, you would do the same thing. Especially when you feel like you have more enemies than friends sometimes. Or things like that, and you never got anything out of your dark situation. Like being able to talk to Jeffree Star or Chris Cracker or Kara, even though I'm Ryan George Fair. And see, I like Chris Cracker or Kara. I follow him on Instagram and I wish I could talk to him. I'm friends with my dad George on Facebook and my friend James made a new Facebook. And I have my black rabbit and see my dad, my cat was watched by a girl named Samantha that was at my alternative school, Arrow. And see, when my cat got out, I was sad too. So I dealt with my frogs dying, which made me sad. My frogs died. My first girlfriend Alicia cheated on me, which made me sad. And then my second girlfriend Brooke Dirks didn't cheat, but we didn't have sex. And then my third black girlfriend named Tanya died, which made me sad. And then my fourth girlfriend Nadia denied my request, which made me sad. But I have my fifth girlfriend Sabrina La Rochelle as my friend on Facebook. And see, me and my friend Mariah, who was this mixed black girl that I used to hang out with when I was young, with her and this mixed girl named Kelly that played the violin when I was young. We used to hang out with this boy whose name was Brian, who owned a hoarder house and things like that. And Brian was into Anton LaVey Satanism and things like that. And I told him that I believed in Jesus at that point. But see, I believe in a God and a dark goddess now. And I feel as long as your religion doesn't believe in animal torture or harm or hurting people for shits and giggles or jollies or things like that. And see, I don't get some kind of sick kick off of harassing innocent people. I was one of the most popular boys at my alternative school, which was the Furbish School, and I had a lot of friends. Like my friend Victor, who was my best friend. And then my next best friend was James Colvin. See, I have two best friends. My friend named Robert, who was a boxer, and then my friend James. And I had a punching bag a few years ago, And when I get my disability money, I plan to get a punching bag with my disability money. And really, it would be cool if I could earn 1,000 subscribers on here and just make videos to talk about what it's like to live with a dad that is me that has arthritis. And see, about 3 years ago, my friend Brandon Drexler hooked me up with a girl named Gabby that I had a one night stand with. Um, and I don't see it as being my fault. I had a psychosis. And really, I have insomnia and ADHD and stomach problems where I throw up sometimes. And bipolar depression. And an anxiety disorder that I got diagnosed with when I was like 14. And really, with witchcraft, the laws are to know, to will, dare, and to keep silent. And in harm none, do what you will. Be careful what you do, be careful what you trust. But see, even though I believe that, I listen to Christian music and things like that, like Jesus music. And I was a Christian, and I would talk about religion with my friends. It's just my belief is that there is a goddess that has more power than a god. It's just I believe that Hecate sits above Zeus in heaven, and I believe in Summerland, which is the Wiccan heaven, and then I believe in a Greek underworld that isn't that bad of a place where torture doesn't happen, but I believe it's like a punishment place. And see, I really wish I could get my ShopRite job back. I worked at ShopRite for like 3 or 4 years, pushing carts. And I would work in the wintertime and things like that. And in the summertime. Um, and I was sick. It made me sick to know that ex-friends would put revenge porn of me on Ripoff Report or messages or things like that when I would get in arguments with them. Because drama in my personal life of me, Ryan George Fair, happens all the time. I get in arguments with my dad, George, a lot. I've been stolen from, and I'm a paranoid schizophrenic and Tourette syndrome with epilepsy sufferer. And really, the boy named Alex, who is my second threesome, is my worst enemy. And I hate him because I felt like he would always put pictures of me on Ryan George for Ripoff Report. And see, Charolade is famous. And I know people still watch him and things like that and like him. And there's no hate in my heart for Billy Wesley Phelps because I miss him and I would talk to him if I could. And really, I don't like Ryan Rosenzweig, who was just using him for Jeffree Star material because he's obsessed with Jeffree Star and the Millionaires when I was Billy Wesley Phelps' true friend and things like that. And I was just like, maybe if I play my cards right, maybe people can understand my friendship with Billy Wesley Phelps, and maybe Jeffree Star will want to talk to me if he notices my YouTube. Or maybe Danielle Bregoli because I like the Cash Me Outside girl. And really, it's not my fault that I'm a paranoid schizophrenic. And I don't see it as being my fault that I had an allergic reaction to Haldol. And some days I didn't even believe that I was a paranoid schizophrenic because of the 9 or 10 friends on my Ryan George Fair Facebook, where some people know where it is. And on there I have about 3,000 friends, and there's about 17 of them that don't like me anymore. So I see it as a god and a dark goddess. But even though I don't believe that, I don't play with knives, But see, when I was stolen from, I have one self-harm scar from where I cut myself when I was stolen from, and things like that. And I would hang out with my friends, and sometimes I talked to my friend Demetrius from my alternative school, and things like that. And really, I just hated everything when my black friend died from the coronavirus. And I have Tourette syndrome and schizophrenia and bipolar depression. And some days I didn't care if I went to jail for posting Marjorie's ripoff reports. And I don't have a problem with her. I would be her friend if I could. Because I want to be respectful to her. Because I have an aunt that was born male that is a female now. That got a sex change. And I call her my aunt even though she was born a male. And see, growing up, my mom was anorexic. And she weighed about 75 or 80 pounds. And I could pick her up and carry her around. And life at my mom's house was very abusive. I was locked in closets by my stepdad and things like that, and beaten by him. And I would always, my dad George would throw me out and play these stupid games where he would throw me out and then come get me later on or things like that. And I would watch all my friends have girlfriends and things like that. And really, I didn't lose my virginity until I was 21. And I did things with a girl, and then there would be times after I broke up with this girl, and then I would go to houses for a while and get sucked off more than other dudes because I'm about 7.5, almost 8 down there. And I would sit next to guys who had 5-inch penises and get sucked off more than them or things like that. And it felt good. And really, I just don't see it as being my fault I had a psychosis. I just hated everything when my black friend died from the coronavirus because he was my best friend. And I really wish I could talk to my friend John Powell because I liked when I would hang out with him. But I feel like he's angry at me. But still, I like John Powell, who is a People Coincidence person on my Ryan Fair Facebook. And sometimes I talk to my friend Brandon Drexler. And really, I hate that I have paranoid schizophrenia. I hate that my dad would punch me in the face and things like that, and then scratch his own face, or things like that, and then call the police on me, or things like that, when really he is just a psycho that is an immature asshole that would come home and see he has the coronavirus, and he would come home and cough on me, and things like that, hoping I would get it from him. Because my dad, George Fair, that works in National Gypsum, is just an immature asshole that talks shit about all his friends at work, when really I love all my friends on my Ryan Fair Facebook that are my friends. And my grandmother Betty thinks that my dad George does no wrong. Even though my cousins Amy and Stacy could drive when they were all 17 or 18. And I didn't drive until I was 21 or 22. And some days I want to use my disability money to buy things for my friend Sean, or things like that, who is a People Coincidence person. And I have a black rabbit, and my dad said he was going to get me frogs for my birthday. And I took my antidepressant. And see, really, for 5 or 6 years, I was not prescribed antidepressants, and I didn't know how to go about getting them. And I would ask the Shepherd Pratt Act team to prescribe them for me, and they didn't. And I didn't know what to do to be happy because I was going through a depressive period, which is why I got these tattoos. I got this one when my black friend died from the coronavirus. I got this dark tree. I got this Grim Reaper tattoo because I've tried to kill myself 3 times in my life. And really, I was sick of people who assumed that I wasn't real, always making threats to put things about me on Ryan George for Revolver Bird. And I hear voices, and I have Tourette syndrome with epilepsy. I have Tourette syndrome with epilepsy. And see, I got diagnosed with Tourette syndrome when I was 7 or 8. And really growing up in my mom's house, I called it the House of Horrors because I was locked in closets and things like that. And my stepdad would beat me and things like that. And when I qualified for disability, I didn't see my disability money at first. And I sat in this house on Jessica's Lane and didn't see any of my disability money. And I feel like my dad, George Fair, was probably giving my disability paychecks to Margie Robichaux when I stopped working at ShopRite in Maryland. And sometimes I would see this Amish man named Tony, who is a people coincidence person, because his name is Tony, and he looks like my stepdad, Tony Mitchell Willie, who is a man with red hair, and things like that. So there's 2 people named Tony out there that look exactly the same, that aren't related, but they're 2 different people. And there was a man at the ShopRite job named Tony, a Christian woman named Pam, and then a boy named Zachary that worked there with me. And my brother is named Zachary, my stepdad's name is Tony, and my mom is named Pam. And people can meet and interact with these people, coincidence people, even though I'm a diagnosed paranoid schizophrenic and Tourette syndrome with epilepsy sufferer. I've encountered about 9 or 10 of these people on my Facebook, and about 17 or 18 of them that don't like me anymore, even though I have schizophrenia. And I had an allergic reaction to Tourette syndrome medication when I was 7 or 8, and I would seize from the Ritalin medication that they put me on for my Tourette's. And I had a reaction to Haldol about 3 years ago, and really, I was just angry at my dad George that didn't buy me a car. I was scared of Jasmine and Brandy. I was scared because I was tired that Alex could make threats to put zip files of things or messages about me on Ryan George Fair Revolver Bird or things like that. And some days I felt like I had more enemies than friends, when really I have a lot of friends on my Ryan Fair Facebook, and I was one of the most popular boys in my alternative school and things like that. And I try and get along with everybody, and I have no enemies, and I have no hate in my heart for anyone. I try and get along with everybody, and I want to make as many friends as I can. And really, I try and be nice and friendly and give people answers to questions if they want to know things. And I have no problem answering any questions because I'm just open about my life, because I feel like I'm an honest guy that likes to make friends with everybody as possible. And really, if I could have any job in the world, it would be to be an adult male star, Because honestly, I've had one phone camera video of me having sex with my ex girlfriend, and I'm not a virgin or things like that. And I was sad when my black friend died from the coronavirus pandemic. And I've tried to talk to girls on dating sites, but it never works. So some days I felt like my best option was to put myself out there on YouTube. And maybe a girl would like me because I'm attractive and I'm almost 8 inches down there. And about 9 months ago, I did 5 threesomes with my friend Austin, while my girlfriend with black hair I was with named Berta, and I have a new friend named Robert, who is my other best friend besides James Colvin, who has a Twitter account, and you can look on James Colvin's Twitter and see videos of me where I'm swimming in the pool and vaping a few years ago, and there's the Fuck the Stop video with me and my friend James. And I sit in my room and I play my Sims 4, and I was sad because my first date with Shelby didn't go well at my alternative school, and Victor made fun of me for that, and then Victor screwed me over and replaced me with my friend Carl, who calls himself James Corona. But my new best friend is James Colvin, and things like that. You know. And my other best friend is Robert Simpson, who is a boxer. And see, even though I believe in Wicca and witchcraft, I don't play with knives or weapons. But I had a Wiccan altar in my room, and even though I believe in Wicca and witchcraft, I listen to Christian music, and I don't smoke marijuana. I've only smoked 3 or 4 times within the past 2 or 3 years, so I don't get high very often. And it sucks having schizophrenia and Tourette syndrome and autism and bipolar disorder. And I was sad when my black friend died from the coronavirus. And really, some days I feel it's not a paranoid delusion that I'm a witch or that Hecate is real. When I was in witchcraft, my friend Jeff told me that I had a witchcraft power that nobody else in the world has. And see, I memorized a lot of stuff during witchcraft, but I forgot a lot of it. But I say the Hecate goddess of darkest night prayer sometimes, and I feel it works. And I find it's rare I get in trouble. And I believe in a goddess that protects me from harm. And I don't get in legal trouble very often. I got in a fight with a boy named Caleb and things like that. I was in a holding cell a few years ago. And I hate having Tourette syndrome and schizophrenia and bipolar depression. And really, when my black friend died from the coronavirus, I got this tattoo, I got this dark tree, I got this Gemini symbol, and I got this Grim Reaper because I've tried to kill myself 3 times in my life. And really, once a week on Twitter, there's a new tweet where people want to know what happened to Sherolade or Billy Wesley Phelps. And if people want information, that's too bad, because Billy Wesley Phelps was my best friend for 4 years, and he doesn't deserve to have any information told about him. And a lot of people know what his real name is and things like that. And see, in the BHH Facebook group, I was Rhonda Wims and Disciple Apostle Gloria Johnson. And it was fun talking to my friends in BHH, but I distanced myself from Shirley drama because it's all drama and nobody The BHH Facebook group is gone, and I don't talk to Billy Wesley Phelps or Gary Lanier anymore. And they were my friends, and I have no issues with them. I have no issues with anybody. And I try and make friends with everybody I can. Like, I like Wonder Bread, who leaves me friendly comments on my YouTube. But I don't like this Lynn person that disliked my last 3 videos. But most of my videos have likes on here. And I feel like I'm a pretty cool guy. Like I said, I use my disability money to help people out. I went to church and donated things to charities and things like that because I feel like I'm a nice person. And I don't ask for anything. I like to give to people and not receive some days. It's just, I feel it's not a paranoid delusion. The Hecate is real. Because of the 9 or 10 friends on my Ryan Fair Facebook, and the 16 or 17 of them that don't like me anymore. And I was sad when my black friend died from the coronavirus, and I just hated everything, and it made me sick to know that people could always put things about me on Ryan George Fair RuPaul Report. And I know that Marjorie has leukemia or some kind of illness, and I'm sorry that she has her conditions. And I would be her friend if I could, and I wanted to be respectful to her and say that I wish she would come on here and apologize for Ryan George Fair RuPaul Report, but she never did. And some days I got nothing out of being Ryan George Fair, except for status updates that people would make and like about me that were negative, when really I was popular in BHH and I was an admin and things like that, you know. And I had 5 girlfriends in my alternative school. I was sad when I got kicked out of Forbush School and I went to Arrow and I couldn't see my Forbush School friends because Forbush was the funnest years of my life when Victor was my best friend and things like that, you know. And then my next best friend was James, who was my first threesome when I was 20 or 21. And then I did like 11 or 12 with him. And then I did 20 with Alex and 3 with Ryan. And then 9 months ago, I had a girlfriend with black hair. And me and my friend Austin did 5 or 6 on my girlfriend with black hair I was with. And this boy named Noah, I let him have sex with my girlfriend. See, I'm the kind of guy where if I get with girls, I share my girlfriends with other guys. And I'll let God sleep with my girlfriend as long as I'm cool with them. And really, my dad, George, was not giving me my disability money. I was not prescribed antidepressants for 5 or 6 years. And some days I just got nothing out of being Ryan George Fair or out of my situation, like being able to talk to Jeffree Star or Chris Crocker or Kara, though I wish I could, or Johnny Boy XO, or anything like that, even though I knew Billy Wesley Phelps. And some days people assumed I wasn't even real. You know, but I'm in a good mood. I'm gonna make some coffee and play with my rabbit and get the turtle and maybe feed her. And my friend James Colvin is sleeping in the other room. I'm gonna link his Twitter. And I added Shirley Phelps Ripper on Facebook. And things like that. So, really, some days I feel as if I have more enemies than friends, even though I have a lot of friends on my Ryan Fair Facebook. And I was one of the most popular boys in my alternative school. And I talk to a lot of my alternative school friends even today. And I was just sad when my black friend died from the coronavirus. But really, I try and give to people. I donated to charities and I went to church with my grandmother Elizabeth. But the path that I take is I believe in a God and a dark goddess. And I refuse to get baptized because witchcraft makes more sense to me than Christianity. But even though I believe in Wicca and witchcraft, I plan to read the Quran and I plan to make videos for people of all religions here on my YouTube. And I listen to Christian and Jewish music, even though I believe in a God and a dark goddess and things like that. And really, I don't smoke marijuana, but I went to New York and smoked wild hemp cigarettes and things like that, you know. And I don't like my dad, George. I feel like he's evil. And I have bipolar depression some days. And I was sad when my black friend died from the coronavirus. But really, I try and make as many friends as I can. And I really wish I had a new girlfriend and things like that. And they approved my disability within 3 weeks, you know. But this is going on almost 42 minutes. I'm in a good mood. I plan to play with my rabbit today. And I'm going to make some coffee. And it is 2:09 a.m. in the morning. And it is Wednesday, June 15th, 2022. So that means my first girlfriend, Alicia, should work today. And I guess my dad works today because it's Wednesday. So I hope everybody's good. Much love and peace from Ryan George Fair. To everybody out there in the YouTube world, I hope everybody's good. See you. Much love and peace from Ryan George Fair.